Hamilton porpoising complaints. The Silver Arrow's problems do not seem to end, as Hamilton complained after the Belgian Grand Prix that a year-old-long problem in the form of porpoising has returned. This will undoubtedly set them back further, as they will now have to look for a solution after everyone thought that bouncing was gone forever. But is this a fundamental design flaw with the car, or is there something else in question? Join us as we take a look at the Spa race and the near future of Mercedes. The uneventful Spa race finished with Hamilton securing 4th place. However, the primary issue for the 7-time world champion was not the race itself, but a controversial problem that has been a hot topic in the past year, leading to disputes even among team principals, as evidenced in the famous Drive to Survive series. In its simplest form, porpoising is an aerodynamic issue that F1 cars started to face following the implementation of the ground effect concept, where air is drawn under the car to push it down onto the track at high speed, rather than flowing over the top to force it downwards. The problem arises when the car moves faster, causing it to be drawn closer to the ground. If it gets too close, it could lead to airflow cessation or stall, causing the downforce to abruptly decrease. This results in the car being propelled upwards. When the car's floor is clear from the ground, the airflow resumes, drawing the car back downwards. This intense bouncing is called porpoising. Starting from the 2022 French Grand Prix, the FIA established a permissible limit for bouncing, monitored by an accelerometer in each car, and from that point, any team exceeding the limit would be compelled to increase their ride height to address the issue, or potentially face disqualification for safety reasons. The FIA opted for this method because not all teams were severely affected by porpoising, and those that anticipated the problems and crafted their machines accordingly contended it was their rivals' responsibility to design better vehicles. Their argument held weight. In 2023, the FIA updated the regulations by increasing the minimum height of every car's floor edge by 15 millimeters, following drivers' claims that the intense bouncing was hazardous. However, this boils down to one vital aspect: downforce. By operating a car and the edges of its floor at a higher elevation, you can prevent porpoising, but it also results in reduced downforce. Porpoising was a major issue for all teams in early 2022, with Mercedes being the most impacted due to their car's design, which was as close to the ground as possible. The problem arose because Mercedes' vehicle was engineered to run as near to the ground as feasible, and the team was unaware of the subsequent complications until it was too late. Despite efforts to make their concept work prior to the onset of the 2023 season, Mercedes was defeated by Aston Martin in the Bahrain Grand Prix, a team which procures many of its parts from Mercedes but has embraced the ultra-fast design approach of Red Bull. Consequently, team principal Toto Wolff has acknowledged they need to rethink their strategy. However, the situation didn't evolve as expected. Before the new season kicked off in March, Mercedes had to confront the harsh reality that their pursuit of the concept had been a blunder, that it was a dead end, and the W14 would be a failure without a complete revamp. GP Racing captured the team's sentiment by featuring an image of the W14 being shredded on the cover of its May issue. This image was fitting, as Mercedes had already initiated extensive changes that are now coming to light. These modifications had been anticipated well before technical director Mike Elliott and chief technical officer James Allison swapped roles, which put Allison in control of front-line development. The introduction of a new bodywork package and floor was scheduled for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix at Imola. However, the race's cancellation due to severe flooding in northern Italy delayed this debut to Monaco. This wasn't the optimal testing ground for such a critical set of updates, but they were already deeply ingrained in the W14's DNA. Mercedes wasn't about to backtrack on its significant change in direction. Lewis Hamilton has expressed concerns about the resurgence of the dreaded bouncing issue that formerly affected Mercedes, particularly evident during the recent Spa-Francorchamps race. Even though Hamilton secured 4th place in the Belgian Grand Prix and showed impressive overall race speed, he confessed to struggling to match the pace of both Red Bull drivers and Ferrari's Charles Leclerc. Mercedes seemed to have largely resolved the car's porpoising issue, a significant drawback from last season this year. However, George Russell also reported the comeback of the unsettling bouncing issue. Hamilton echoed this sentiment, mentioning similar problems in the Austrian Grand Prix a few races before, adding to concerns about the car's performance in the high-speed Belgian circuit. Despite these problems, Hamilton and his teammate managed to accumulate crucial points in the Spa race. This brought Hamilton within 1 point of third place in the Drivers' Championship, trailing just behind Fernando Alonso. I mean, it was kind of a non-eventful race, really. There's not really much going on, Hamilton admitted to Sky F1 after the race. I wasn't able to keep up with the cars ahead of me and struggled in the beginning. Rear end is our biggest issue, and then we had big bouncing this weekend, so we are back to the bouncing like we had last year. But at the end, I was kind of keeping the Ferrari within a few seconds, but I couldn't get any closer to the battle. To get the fastest lap at the end, it was nice to have the gap to the car behind, and the last lap was decent, but it was gusty today. It was difficult out there on track. Toto Wolff suggested that he believes the team is making positive progress, but emphasized the need to quickly determine the root cause of the porpoising issue plaguing their car. He noted that this bouncing was not limited to a particular segment of the race, but was observed on every straight section of the track, specifically Blanchiment, a corner on the track which is usually taken flat out without lifting off the throttle, indicating that the issue was so severe that Lewis Hamilton had to lift off the throttle in this section, which is not normal. According to him, this resulted in overheating of the tyres during braking. The overheating tyres and bouncing create a vicious circle, each exacerbating the other, which in turn hinders the car's performance. This was the main factor limiting their performance at the race weekend. Wolff is frustrated with this persistent issue as the team is heading for the summer break, but he remains hopeful that they can glean more insights from the data collected during the race to better understand and hopefully rectify the problem. Reflecting on why the bouncing had returned, Wolff suspects that the upgrades that arrived for Belgium may have been a factor, but he still remains convinced the team has made the right call with its current development focus. "We've got to analyze it," he said. "There is so much hard work that's been going on for the upgrade. The aero guys and the operations to deliver that upgrade, you've got to take your hat off to them. I think the flaw could have been the reason why we've been bouncing, but we are going to see it in the data. And maybe there's something that we need to find, because I still believe the direction that we are going now is the right one." Look, to be completely honest, Toto Wolff has been maintaining that Mercedes is on track for around 18 months now. Yet no one seems capable of matching Red Bull's pace. And given today's race, it begs the question, will anyone be able to challenge Red Bull in the next 3 years? I hardly believe it. We are now midway through the 2023 season, and Red Bull's edge appears to have grown, especially in the last few races, and they haven't even finished with their upgrades and still have more knowledge to accumulate. In contrast, Mercedes continues to grapple with some issues, such as the bouncing problem, which might be associated with the adjustments on the newly introduced upgrades. They have brought in a new rear wing, a redesigned side pod, and other updates. These are substantial upgrades, and it's plausible that Mercedes hasn't fully capitalized on their potential. Hypothetically, their performance at Zandvoort should be better, given the car's configuration, but this won't happen until after the summer break. Why did this happen? Perhaps Mercedes overstepped with the ride height this weekend. They certainly have several issues to resolve, and I don't think the car will experience regular porpoising as it did at the start of last season. However, Hamilton still has some worries, predominantly regarding confidence, and if the car bounces both on the straight and in corners, it undermines the driver's confidence to push the boundaries. According to the Mercedes team, this diminished confidence is their greatest impediment. The problem is not necessarily that their car is significantly slower, but rather that the Red Bull is so stable. It has all the rear-end stability it could possibly need. Hamilton has relayed his needs to the team and is patiently awaiting their response. Whether they'll be able to meet his needs by 2026 is frankly uncertain at this point. In retrospect, it can be argued that Mercedes is currently where it should have started 2022. Determining a path that doesn't lead them into another development dead end will be critical if they hope to challenge Red Bull again and not fall even further behind. What do you think? Could Mercedes bounce back, if you know what I mean? Or will porpoising become a recurring issue like at the start of the 2022 season? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and thank you for watching Racing Zone.